remiss not to wish him happy birthday. Mr. Poilievre, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Although there is a new study out from Harvard showing that too many birthdays is the leading cause of death. So I know you don't wish that upon me. Mr. Thornton, you gave a fantastic presentation, very well reasoned. I am going to challenge you on it though, because I think we get to better answers when we have a good debate. Your first point was that if we prioritize pensions over other liabilities, distressed companies could be forced more quickly into a bankruptcy. Can that not be solved by simply having a transition period for the coming into force of this bill, during which time companies with that are sub AAA that are have defined benefits could prepare themselves and repair their balance sheets in order to avoid that problem?
At the end of the day, it's a question of fairness. This bill does nothing to create value. So when you put somebody artificially on top of the capital stack, it means that there is somebody who's a loser. This is not a balanced bill. It's not a give and take situation. It's a take situation. So imagine, if you will, a stack of bricks in a tub of water. If you take one of the wet bricks out from the bottom and put it on the top, it doesn't mean that you suddenly have less wet bricks. It just means that someone else's brick has gone down into the underwater. What's happening here is that this bill will crush recoveries for unsecured trade creditors.
Right,
and they're the real vulnerable ones.
If I could, though, for those kinds of companies that are in a vulnerable position, can they not just we not have a transition period during which time they could get their balance sheet, including their pension viability, in order to comply with the bill and avoid bankruptcy?
Everybody tries to create value. Not every company is successful at it. Okay. So a period of time, while it might be beneficial, really does nothing to alter the fundamental mechanics of this bill.
Second, you said that the cost of capital will go up for companies that have defined benefit plans.
Yes.
This is actually, to me, a virtue of the bill. And let me tell you why. I'm worried about the fact that CEOs have underfunded their pensions for a long time and said, that problem is for the next CEO or another CEO down the line. And then when the pension problem emerges, the CEO who caused it in the first place is long retired and on his yacht in the Caribbean, while the workers are left holding the bag. Doesn't this bill bring the real cost of underfunding a pension into the present by making it more expensive for companies that don't properly fund pensions to raise money?
At the end of the day, greater cost of capital simply means the company is going to be less competitive in a competitive world. So
right, but Mr. Thornton, shouldn't that be the case? Like, if I have a company and I'm not funding my pension plan and I'm leaving possible problems for a future management to solve, then shouldn't I take a whooping from the debt markets? Shouldn't they say to me in the present, Mr. Poilievre, you haven't funded your pension, so we're not lending you money? Wouldn't that create an incentive for me in the present to get my pension properly funded?
Possibly, but the solution that I have proposed would do that even more directly and wouldn't risk putting the company in an uncompetitive situation to do it. So you measure this, instead of right now, the deficits are measured annually or sometimes only over 3 years. And then you're given 5 years to fund it. If you measure that quarterly, as you can now, and you can identify the problem while it's small and not this ogre that comes to crush pensioners at the end.
Thank you.
And when it's small, you also put in tight timelines to fix it. So you bring the whole solution into the present.
I'll have to take a look at your proposal.
Not an indirect
Sorry,
way.
I don't mean to interrupt you, we're very short on time. Ms. Romanauta, how much time do I have?
2 minutes.
Okay, I'd like to give that to Mr. Genereux.
Merci beaucoup, Monsieur Poilievre. Monsieur
Thank you very much. Mr. Thornton, you're the proof that there are two sides to this, because from the beginning we've been hearing from witnesses on this, and I in general agree with them, but I'm a businessman and I have a small business of 25, 30 employees, but large businesses often end up with pension funds that are undervaluated. And what you said, and from what I've understood, when banks look at the financing of a business, whether it's for their daily activities or for their recovery in the future if they're not doing well, they will look at the facts. Whereas you said that pensions are an evaluation and there's a real difference between the two. What could be corrected in this bill, or what could be improved in this bill to make sure that the pension funds can be better funded?
So what I am proposing is that you do three things. Actually, there's a fourth as well that my friend from the Bankers Association mentioned. But the first thing, you measure, you put the measuring process into real time, as close to real time as you can. It takes weeks to do the actuarial assumptions to figure out whether your pension is in deficit or not. But you do that quarterly, not annually. And then you identify shortfalls and tell the affected stakeholders, the pensions and the unions groups, and the regulator. And then you make the company funded over a quicker period of time. They just build that right into your pension legislation and inspire the provinces to do the same. I know in Ontario, FSRA is already looking at this kind of solution, and it's a good fix to the problem without affecting priorities.
Monsieur Ziegler, vous avez dit.
Mr. Ziegler earlier. Mr. Généreux? Apologies, but your time is up. Mr. Poilievre took a little more time because it's his birthday.
Welcome to Safe Space Cafe. News, music, and comedy.